Hey guys, welcome back to the Charismatic Nerd. So today we're gonna have a brief discussion on a short story called The Short and Happy Life of Francis Maycomber by Ernest Hemingway. Now, before you click away from this video, I just want to tell you that this isn't going to be a lame literature class presentation where I talk about the author, meanings that aren't there, and whatever my English teacher would have liked to hear. That's not how I roll. The reason why I want to discuss this short story is because it talks about a very important theme that many of us don't really give time to think about at all. So what is this theme? Well, before we get to that, let me just give you a brief outline of the short story and then we'll proceed from there. Now, I'm only going to give you the bare bones because I highly recommend that you go out and read that short story. But anyways, just to get to it. So how the story goes is that we have Francis Maycomber. He's a 35-year-old wealthy individual and he has a beautiful wife whose character is quite suspect. Anyways, they go to Africa to do some big game hunting and they hire a professional hunter named Wilson. So on the first day of hunting, there's an incident and this incident exposes Francis for being a coward. And then soon after that incident, Francis's wife has an affair with Wilson. And Francis finds out shortly after. However, Francis feels powerless. He feels that he can't really do anything with his wife because he feels like he can't get another woman just as beautiful as her. And he can't really do anything with Wilson since he actually still needs Wilson for the big game hunt. So anyways, they go on to do their second day of hunting. Another incident happens where Francis somehow kills the coward in himself and starts really expressing his courageous and authentic self. And in that moment, everyone realizes that Francis has changed for the better, that he's no longer that coward. And soon after Francis has reached this level in his life, he dies suddenly. Now, the reason why this is called The Short and Happy Life of Francis Maycomber is that Francis started to live once he started expressing his courageous and authentic self. So it was happy in that sense, but it was short that he died so quickly after that. So that's why it's called The Short and Happy Life of Francis Maycomber. But again, guys, I highly recommend that you actually go out and read that short story. Anyways, to get back to the video, so the main theme of this short story is coming of age because you have a 35-year-old Francis who has to face his fear and express courage despite the fear, anxiety, and doubt that he feels. And once he gets through that, he realizes his personal power. He realizes that how he can be his authentic self. And it's in that moment where he kills a coward in him. And it's really interesting to think the fact that even though he's 35, Francis still hasn't figured out in life. He still hasn't figured out how to be confident, how to express his authentic self. And it took a fearful event for him. It took a fearful event for him to bring out that courageous, authentic self that he knew was inside him. And that's why I find this story so resonating because, you know, as we go on and live our day-to-day lives in the modern world, we're not too sure what it is that we need to do to become confident, courageous, authentic, and all that. And the story shows that what you really have to do is face your fears. That's how you figure out your coming of age. And again, in this modern day where we don't really have those traditional communities and societies like the past, so it's our responsibility to figure out our own coming of age. Now, the natural follow-up question is, how do we figure out our own coming of age? Well, the rule of thumb is, whatever is your biggest fear, that's what you need to face. And I think the beauty about this short story is that since Francis is 35 years old, it shows that you can have your coming of age at any point in your life. It's never too late. For example, I had my coming of age at 28. So when I was 28, I had to stand up to a very toxic family member. And this particular toxic family member, I was afraid all my life. Like, whenever I was in their presence, I would just shiver, I would have doubt, anxiety, all that. However, when I was going through therapy, I realized that in order for me to grow into that confident, authentic version of myself, I had to stand up to that toxic parent. So I faced that toxic parent and I shit my pants, I swear. But at the end of it, I realized that I gave this person way too much power, and I didn't realize how much personal power I had to dictate the relationship with this toxic parent, and how much personal power I had just to dictate my own life. So that was my coming of age, and ever since then, when I killed the coward in me, I've been able to live a life that resonates with what I want. And guys, listen to me. If a dork like me can have his own coming of age, you can as well. You don't want to complicate this. It's fairly simple. You need to figure out what it is that you're so afraid of. What is your biggest fear? And then you have to go out and face it, no matter what. No matter the doubt, the anxiety, whatever uncomfortable emotions you feel. You need to face that fear and go through with it. And at the end of it, you're gonna realize, that was it? That's what I was afraid of? Now, some of you will think that it's not worth it to face your biggest fears or even think about having your own coming of age. Well, let me tell you this. If that's your way of thinking, it comes at a very high price. And I'm gonna show you an excerpt in The Short and Happy Life of Francis Maycomber that summarizes what happens when you choose not to have your own coming of age. It's that some of them stay little boys so long, Wilson thought. Sometimes all their lives. Their figures stay boyish when they're 50. The great American boy men. Damned strange people. So you can see, when you don't have your own coming of age, or if you don't go through with your biggest fears, you just stay an immature, undeveloped individual, in the sense that you still inhabit an adult body, but your spirit and mind is still very adolescent. And that's what Francis was. Francis was just a little boy in a man's body until he had his coming of age. And if I'm being honest, that passage describes me from the age of 17 to 26, where even though I was in an adult's body, internally, I was a little boy who was afraid of the world. And as a result, I was a man boy who chronically suffered from so many unnecessary fears. And I'm telling you guys, that's the price you pay when you don't have your own coming of age. It's really simple. It's either A, you face your biggest fear and go through with it, where you can have that coming of age and become that authentic, genuine individual, or B, you can ignore that coming of age and just chronically suffer small unnecessary fears. Even though it doesn't feel that painful in the moment, like I said, it chronically bothers you, it chronically adds up. And trust me, I suffered 10 years of that, and it's not worth it. In the modern day, we have a lot of freedom, so much freedom. However, with that freedom comes responsibility. So when you realize that you're the driver of your life, you're the captain of your own ship, you have to make sure that you're growing into that individual you aspire to be. And that's going to require your own coming of age. So you have to take responsibility for that. You have to take the responsibility to realize what is it that you fear the most, and how are you going to face it? Because when you do that, you're setting the tone for how you want to live the rest of your life. You're setting the tone that you want to be that courageous, authentic individual. You want to show that you want to live life on your own terms. However, even though it sounds all nice and rainbows and rosies or whatever, it's your responsibility, and you have to make sure that even though we're all free to do whatever you want, it's up to you and how you use that freedom. So don't shy away from the responsibility. Yes, it's going to be tough, scary, challenging, and all that. But when you get through your own journey, you're gonna see that the journey was its own reward. And when you look back, it's gonna all make sense. And when you take a look at Francis Maycomber, the moments before he died, he could probably tell himself that his life finally made sense. And before I wrap up this video, I want to read a passage from the short story that really encapsulates the whole coming of age theme. He had seen men come of age before, and it always moved him. It was not a matter of their 21st birthday. It had taken a strange chance of hunting, a sudden precipitation into action without opportunity for worrying beforehand, to bring this about with Maycomber. But regardless of how it had happened, it had most certainly happened. But he liked this Maycomber now. Damn strange fellow. Probably meant the end of cuckoldry too. Well, that would be a damned good thing. Damn good thing. Beggar had probably been afraid all his life. Don't know what started it, but over now. Hadn't had time to be afraid with the bluff. That and being angry too. Motor car too. Motor cars made it familiar. Be a man fire eater now. He'd seen it in the war work the same way. More of a change than any loss of virginity. Fear gone like an operation. Something else grew in its place. Main thing a man had. Made him into a man. Women knew it too. No bloody fear. Alright guys, that's it for today. Thank you again for watching. Please don't forget to like this video, comment, subscribe to my channel, subscribe to my newsletter, and guys remember, you're not just any type of nerd, you're a charismatic nerd.